Hello everyone, it's Alan again, aka Chita, and today I bring you another tutorial on Visual Basic. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to create and implement a binary search. For this I'll use a, as you probably noticed, the module, so I'll be using a console application for that, but obviously you will work on whatever you're doing because it will just be a procedure. Alright, let's get started. So, to keep it simple, at least for now, I'm going to create a very simple array. I'm going to call it, I don't know, list, and I'll have 9 elements as integer. Again, you can choose whatever data type you want. I'll use an integer because then I can just populate it with a for loop very easily. I is equal 0 to 9, and then I'll make list I is equal I. Alright, next. Now that we have it populated, we can start actually creating the procedure that will be the binary search. So this bit is just so I can test it. Alright, so let's make a function. Make it private function vSearch. We're going to need 2 parameters. We're going to need the item as integer, and we're going to need a parameter that will be the actual list that we will use, and I'll call it let's say by vol L, and we need to say that that's an array as integer, so it will be an array of integers, and the whole function I'll make it as a string because I'll be creating a message to output on the console. You might want to simply output a number or something. That's fairly easy for you to work around what you want to output exactly. Alright, so let's start. First we'll need a few variables. I'll need them start, I'll need finish, I'll need middle, so just mi as integer. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to create, thinking ahead, we're going to create a variable to stop our loop, which will be found as boolean, which will be equal to false as default. Alright, now we can start populating these variables that we created before. Now start, as a rule we will always want to start from the beginning, so start is equal 0, and then finish, we want it to be the size of the whole array that we're checking for, so that will be ubound L. Okay, now we can start our loop to start checking through. Now you keep in mind that we haven't actually filled in this variable yet, we'll do that inside the loop. So while start is less than finish minus 1, and there is a reason for this minus 1, and found is equal false, which means while we haven't found this yet and we still have items to check for, we should keep on looping. Now first thing that we want to do, and that's a bit heavy, we want to make our middle will be equal to open brackets. Now we're going to use math.floor, so we'll always round it down, and we need to open another brackets, and then we're going to do finish minus start, so the difference between the finish and the start, that divided by 2, and then we can close one of the brackets, and that plus the start, and that will be our middle. Okay, so what does that actually mean? Now we're going to round it down always, so even if we have, let's say, 3.9, we'll still round it to 3 rather than 4. Alright, and then we're taking the difference between our start and our finish, and we're dividing that by 2, and that's what's actually rounded down. and then at the very end, once we have a value for that, we want to add the start. So for example, if we had 100 items and our start would be 50 and our end would be 100, we would do 100 minus 50, which is 50 divided by 2 is 25. Then we would check our 25th item, but we wouldn't want to check the 25th because that's not within the list. We want to check the 75th. So we add 50, which is our start, and we get to the point that we want to check. I hope that makes sense. Alright, now we have the middle, the item that we want to check for. Now we can actually check it. So if LMI is equal item, then that's very nice and easy. Found is equal true. Now else, so if we haven't found it, we haven't been lucky enough to find it already, then we're going to have to change our start or end position. So let's check what. If LMI it's greater than item, meaning if what we have, if what we're searching for is less than what we have right now, we need to go left, which means that we'll change our finish. So we'll start from where we were, but we'll finish somewhere else. That's what it means. So let's change that. Finish will be equal to our mid. Else, so it's not equal and it's not greater than, then it must be less than. Then start will be equal mid. That's the only difference. And that will take care of the loop. And now we can start actually returning some values. Now, first of all, I'm going to check how did this loop finish. So if it finished because found is equal true, so if we found the item, so if found is equal true, then what we're going to do is we're going to very simply return. And remember, I'm returning a string, so you might want to return something else different than me. Let's say the item and item, because we found the item, so and is the index number and close it, and mi, and that should be enough to return. Yeah, I think so. Alright, so else, if we haven't found the item, so it could be one of the three possible scenarios. Either the item is not on the list at all, or is the very first or the very last item on the list. That's because there isn't a way to properly check for to properly finish the loop with the start and finish without going on a loop on either the end or the beginning. So by doing that, we will never check the very first or the very last item, which means that at the end we need to check for. So that's what we'll do right now. Then we do if. Now we need to check for the end and the beginning separately. So if L mi plus 1 it's equal item, so if the item is the very last, then we can return pretty much the same thing as that. Just copy and paste for the sake of efficiency, and we change that to plus 1. Alright, now we do else if, copy this, else if that minus 1, then we'll once again copy this, paste in here, and change that to minus 1. Finally, if it's not any of that, then the item is not on the list at all, then we're simply going to return. Just copy and paste is from a previous testing project. So we're going to return telling the user that this item that they were searching for, it's not found. Now this bunch of brackets, once you're doing a string, if you put double brackets, it understands that you actually want the string bracket, so you put a bracket once, and then I want the third one to finish, and so this one is to start, and this one is to finish this set, and this one starts this set. Okay, and I think we're good to run. Oh, not quite yet. We also need to check the results, so it's no good to have it if we don't call it this function. Okay, so let's check. So we're checking from 0 to 9, so let's make this 0 would be one extreme, 9 would be the other extreme. Now we check for boundary data, so we do -1 and 1, and then we do 8 and 10. And finally we can do abnormal or erroneous data. Sorry, extreme data. I'm not checking for abnormal because that's something else completely. You'd have to use a try-catch or something else, some other type of validation, but I'm not covering that. So if we're doing from 0 to 9, let's put like 5,000. That's extreme data, something that you wouldn't expect. And I think we're good to run. Let's try. Oh, a bit too quick for my eyes. Console.readKey. Let's try it again. Okay, that's better. Now item 0 is the number 0 because we're not actually changing the data, so that's easier for us to check. 9 is 9, 1 is 1, 8 is 8. Then okay, let's do a final check right in the middle just to make sure that's working. So it's from 0, so put, let's say 5. Yep, that's working perfectly. Now just to show you that it will work with larger numbers, so if I make this to 500 and I change that to 500, and I'll keep some of it. Yeah, screw it, I'll keep all of it. So dot right line, I'll just make a blank blank line between it. So dot right line, should have just kept one. Oh well. Now let's try with let's do 500. So let's try right in the middle 250, and let's try say 300, and let's try something. Oh, press my delete key. Let's try something smaller. What's wrong with my finger positions? It's like 30. Alright, so 250 is 250, 300 is 300, 30 is 30, 5,000 is not found, and everything else stays the same. So that's it, guys. I hope that helped you guys in your project. If you like these tutorials, feel free to hit the like button. If you want to see more, feel free to subscribe so you'll be notified every time I post a new update. And if you have any comments or feedback, please leave a comment below, and I will most certainly check it, and I will act on whatever feedback you give me. Alright, once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.